Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's workshop. We are delighted to have Mr. Prakash with us as a subject matter expert for today's session. Mr. Prakash is a seasoned leadership coach with extensive experience working across diverse industries, including corporate manufacturing services and fast-growing organizations. He has spent several years coaching leaders and professionals on leadership effectiveness, people management, communication, and performance excellence. His strength lies in blending real world industry experience with practical leadership frameworks that participants can immediately apply in their day to day roles. In today's session is brought to you by Skillemme, where we partner with industry experts to deliver practical, application-oriented learning that helps individuals and organizations bridge the gap between skills and performance. So, with that, I think we should get started with the session. Over to you, Mr. Prakash.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to this knowledge session. I'm truly happy to be here and take you through the next 1 hour on a very important topic. Let me first start by asking you, why are you all here this afternoon? If you could just quickly type in the chat one, two, three word answers as to why are you here this afternoon? Why are you attending this session? What is that you're looking forward to? Ravi saying to know more in this subject and learn. Thank you, Ravi. Others, would you share your thoughts as to why are you here? How to effectively share feedback? Yes, Patil. All right, fine. So, most important thing is that we are here to learn something. Let me now start by sharing my presentation and taking you through what is this particular session all about. So give me a minute. I'm just sharing it here. A quick check. Are all of you able to see my screen? It should say excuses to ownership, the feedback advantage. Could you just
Yes,
quickly type
yes.
yes in the chat? All right. Thank you very much. All right. So the next question for all of you is, have you faced any of these situations? What are those situations? You give feedback and then your team member gets angry or upset. Or two, your team member goes completely quiet. Three, your team member nods but clearly doesn't change. Third is that clearly doesn't care. And four, your team member repeats the same behavior again, despite you giving the feedback. Okay. If you have faced these situations, if you have faced, for example, number one, please type one in the chat. If it is two, three, accordingly. Or if it's one and three, two and three, one and four, all four, you could do so accordingly. All right. Which situations have you faced when you try to give feedback? Okay, Siddharth, all four, yes. All four of them, different situations. Absolutely, Ravi. Patil also all four, yes. Swaroop, yes. All right. So when this situation happens, what is that we are actually struggling with? We are not struggling with giving feedback. We are struggling with the fallout after we give the feedback. And most of the time, These responses from the persons we are giving to feedback to, they are signals. And they are not random signals, they are very clear signals. What do these signals mean? These signals could be that it is anger, silence, indifference, repetition. They are all signals not of defiance, but more of frustration, more of disappointment. When we see these signals, what do we conclude? We conclude that these are defiance. And I've heard many leaders say, yes, I want to give feedback. I give feedback all the time, but my team members simply not interested. They don't care about getting feedback. What is happening here is that these signals are being misread. They are not being actually understood for what they are. So when we see anger, when we see silence, when we see indifference, or we see repetition, one of the first things we have to look at is that, oh, this is not that they are being defiant, it is that they are disappointed or frustrated or lost. It could be all that. One question I ask, all the leaders, senior leaders whom I coach and train is that, do you think any team member of yours gets up in the morning, gets ready, comes through all the traffic, reaches office, and then tells himself or herself, I am going to do a bad job today? Could you share your answers? Do you think any of our team members say this, yes or no? Could you just share your answers? Absolutely not, right? Nobody wants to come and do a bad job. But what do we see? We see them doing a bad job. So we need to understand there is something deeper going on behind these signals, and we need to decode these signals. So let's get into that and understand what do these signals actually mean. All right. Now, as I said, when we are reading these signals, leaders, the myths they have about feedback is that employees don't like feedback. Or if I give feedback, it will demotivate people because they don't like to be told they are not doing their jobs properly. Or even worse, if I give feedback, I might lose trust. Would any of you like to share whether you also have these myths? You have these same thoughts? If yes, would you put yes in that? Yes, these are the myths we are also having. Which myth do you think you are looking at? Okay, thank you, Ravi. Thank you, Nandini. Yes. And the word myth is exactly that. It is supposed to be true or seems to be true, but it is not actually not. Now, could anybody say that what happens when a leader has the myth, employees don't like feedback? What do you think happens? Again, chat, anybody like to speak up and share their thoughts? Please do so. What do you think happens when a leader has the myth that employees don't like feedback? Friction, absolutely right. Yeah, thank you, Ravi. Others, what do you think happens? And you can speak up, you can share your thoughts. All right, okay. Feedback will demotivate people. And if I give feedback, I might lose trust. What's going to happen is the misalignment, absolutely. The leader now hesitates to give feedback. They think, oh my God, giving feedback itself is a problem. So feedback should not be given because my employees don't like it. They get frustrated. The relationship gets eroded. So it becomes a big issue. Why does giving feedback seem so difficult? It is because of all these reasons. Fear of damaging relationships, fear of emotional responses, fear of being misunderstood, or fear of doing it wrong. So, what is the problem here is that when feedback is being talked about, leaders think intention is fine, My intention is fine, so I will give feedback. And then they are faced with all these negative reactions. And then they say, oh, feedback itself is bad. What we need to shift our mindset is it is not that intention is enough. We also have to think about what is the actual impact. Why is this emotional responses, damage to relationships, misunderstandings, and doing something wrong? Why is it all coming about? We need to understand that. All right. So what do because of all these myths, what do managers normally do? This is what they do. Either they don't give feedback, delay it as much as possible till the situation reaches a particular stage where they are forced to, or they try to soften the message. In a very interesting study done by Harvard University professor, and this was done in 2019, 2020, and 2021, they surveyed many team members, employees across many countries. What they did was they asked leaders to give their team members feedback. And when the team members come out, they went and asked them, hey, what was this feedback about? What is your takeaway? What are you going to do next? Most of the time, the team member said, I actually don't know what my leader meant to say. He said, this was good, that was not good, everything is okay. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So when leaders soften the message, speak indirectly, it becomes a major issue. As for saving it for appraisal, this is an all too common issue. I have faced it very early in my career, and that taught me a big lesson. I was working in one particular city, managing a team about 20 people. My boss was in another city, very busy. So I used to interact with him over phone and email alone. Every month, I will send him a complete report. Every week, I used to give him an update. I used to call him on the phone. Very rarely would he pick up the phone and answer. He will just send me a mail saying that, Prakash, sorry, I'm in meetings. So, please carry on with the work. Everything is fine and all that. And in between, I was reporting to another leader here locally. It was a matrix reporting. So I was reporting to that leader. That leader used to give me some assignments which were not exactly within my scope of work. I used to inform my boss and then start working on this. I was told everything is fine throughout the year. Whenever I asked, yeah, everything is good, everything is good. Then at the end of the year, the performance appraisal time, my boss flew down, took me to a meeting room, sat down, and then he said, so what do you think? So I prepared my own form. I kept all the data ready. And I said, I think I've exceeded expectations. So he looked at me very stunned and he said, no, in fact, I think you should be not met expectations, but, I don't want to do that. So I'm giving you met expectations. I was so furious and so angry that I lost my temper. I was very young, lost my temper, said quite a few things I should not have said, and then walked out. And I think we all know you get into a battle with your boss, who's going to win. So it did impact me. But the fact was that the whole year, he did not give me any feedback. He just kept saying things are okay. And I kept thinking I'm doing a great job. But at the end of the year, on that most important day, he tells me, no, you're not done. 364 days of hard work, sincere work, personal sacrifices, everything gone. Only because my boss didn't care or maybe was afraid to give me feedback on a regular basis. The last one, fifth one, is even worse. And I've seen many leaders doing that. I also used to do it very early in my career, which is that just pray and hope that the behavior of the team member changes. Somehow magically, they realize their own mistakes and they change themselves. Unfortunately, that also doesn't happen. So, what is that we need to do? We need to look at first what is the importance of feedback. So over to you again. Could you please share as to why do you think feedback is so important? Giving feedback is so important. Yeah. Could you share your thoughts? Please don't worry about, oh, is my answer exactly correct? No, I might be wrong. We are here to learn. Tell someone what has happened. Thank you, Ravi. What happens if you don't tell them? What happens if it helps continuous improvement? Yes, Patil. Why is feedback so important? All right. So let's look at the importance of feedback. First, let's look at what is the cost of avoiding feedback. Okay, Siddharth, more than giving feedback, I think feed forward is, yes, important. Absolutely right. Yes, feedback, feed forward, both are interchangeable words as far as I'm considered. But I know that today feed forward is the accepted word. Thank you, Siddharth, for sharing that. Now let's look at the cost of avoiding feed forward. All right. Why is this feeding forward so important? So the things which happen are underperformance becomes a norm. Why do I say that? Let's say a team member is not doing their job the way it is supposed to be. It could be not meeting timelines. It could be not meeting quantity standards. It could be not meeting quality standards. All three will lead to why performance is not where it is supposed to be. And now that team member is not told has to that his performance is not meeting the standards. He or she continues to think they are doing a great job and they'll think that is the standard. And it is possible that other team members also see that and say, oh, this is the performance standard expected of us. So let's also do that. I'm sure many of you would have noticed when one team member comes late and the team leader does not say anything, after some time, other team members also start coming late. And coming late becomes a culture. So when we avoid feedback or feed forward, underperformance becomes a culture. It could be also that certain lack of values become a culture. Both are equally important. Now, what happens when one team member is not performing their job? We all know that somebody has to take up that burden. Who invariably takes up the burden? It is the high performers. So they not only have to do their job, they also have to do more. Okay. So the question to you is, if you were a top performer, you are already doing your job. Your manager comes and keeps on giving you more work because some of your team members are not doing their jobs. How will you feel? Could you share your thoughts? How would you feel under this situation? You are a top performer. You are doing your job. Your manager comes and gives you more job because others are not doing their job. Yes, yes, burnt out, importance and credibility, absolutely. We feel frustrated, we feel angry, and doing this is the right recipe for converting top performers into disgruntled employees. So I always tell leaders, you want to convert your top performers into demotivated employees, please do this. Don't give feedback. Make sure that all this work which your low performers are not doing, you give it to the high performers. You will be in a very good position. All right. Next is issues surface too late. You're not giving feedback. The problem builds and builds and becomes very serious later. And lastly, but most importantly, there is no trust in the leadership. This is a very high cost pay for any leader. All right. What managers don't address early, organizations end up paying for later. And this is a huge cost. Okay. Let's also look at some statistics. The earlier study, which I had said, it had brought out some studies. So let's do a interesting activity. Could you just type minty.com on your browser, you will get voting.com, and you should see this come in. All right. You should see this screen coming in. Mentimeter, enter the code to join. It's on the screen in front of you. So could you please type this 83232432? If you could just type this. Any clarifications, please ask me again. Just type menti.com on your Chrome browser. You should see this screen on the right coming up. Please type the code 83232432. I am going to stop sharing and go to another screen so that we can do this quiz on Mentimeter. So please give me a minute.
Prakash, maybe you can put the code on the chat just in case others want to.
Sure, I will do that. It will show up also when I am showing the presentation, so not to worry. Just give me a minute. The presentation is Mentimeter is coming up. Yeah. Can see the code here again. And this is the first question. Could you please enter a number as a percentage? Reported dash percentage lower turnover rates in companies that implement regular feedback. Just enter a number. What number do you think? Lower turnover is nothing but attrition. The attrition is much less in these companies where they have regular feedback. So you can see on the screen, your answers are coming up. One of the responses is 10%, one response is lesser than 15, significantly 20, 5 responses so far. Others can come in. I'll just give it a minute. Okay, there are some more in this. So once we are done with this, we'll go to the next question. 6 out of 8 responses. All right. Okay. So the figures are between 10 and 20. All right. We'll just remember this number. We'll come back to this. The next slide, again, it's a number, it's a percentage. Dash percentage of employees are disengaged when they receive very little or no feedback, which means, what are we saying? When employees don't get feedback or get very little feedback, they become disengaged. They're not motivated. They don't take ownership. They want to quit the job. All this is happening. Yeah. So one is 75%. All right. 60%. Okay. So 60, 65, 60, 30. All right. Okay. So 6 of 8. Thank you very much. You can make a note of your answers alone. 80. All right. This about 40% employees are disengaged when they receive very little or feedback. Okay. All right. Next, the third one, dash percentage of employees want more feedback. 60 to 70%. All right. 75%, 70 to 75, 20, 15, 80. Just give it a minute. We have a better response. All right, fine. Moving on to the next one. Dash percentage of employees want both positive and negative feedback. Seventy, 30, 15 to 20, 60, 80. There's a huge range over here. It shows that what our myths are about feedback. All right, around 40%. So 80 twice, 70, 60. So around 60 to 80 is quite a bit. 15 to 20, 30. All right, so that's done. Thank you very much. That's the end of this particular activity. Let's go back and see what the actual answers are from the research. Issue with this. Just give me a minute. Okay, so the answer to first is 14.9%, which is 15. But why is this 15 a significant number? There are two reasons. It says that it is 15% lower than in companies which do not implement. So in a company that does implement, let us say it is 30%, then in companies which implement it is 15%. And think about the cost of attrition. One team member of yours leaves, how much time does it take to get another team member? Qualified, fitting profile. Probably 2 to 3 months. Notice period itself is 3 months nowadays. Then after that, how much time does it take for that employee come up to full productivity? 6 months, maybe a year. All the time, two things are happening. That employee is being paid full salary. Two, your team, somebody else is taking up that employee's lack of work. Whatever that employee is not able to do, your top performers are doing. That is why this number becomes so significant. All right. Second is 40% employees are disengaged. And that's a huge number because the minute it hits 50, you have a non performing team. Half your team members are not performing. And in any team, we know, right? If I am a disgruntled employee, I keep on telling everybody a company is bad, leader is bad, they don't do this. It catches on. Other people also start thinking the same way. So imagine you have half of your team completely disengaged, talking negatively. It can spoil the whole team, including the top performers. The next is 55% of employees actually want more feedback, 55%. But when you ask most leaders, they say, no, my team members don't want feedback. And then there is 32% want both positive and negative feedback. Some two more interesting figures. The higher the performance, the more frequently you should be giving feedback. In the research, it was found that 72% of leaders believe the opposite. Their reasoning was, hey, he's already performing well. Why should we give feedback? Any thoughts? Why is that the higher the performance, the more frequently we should be giving feedback? Could you share your thoughts, please? You can type it in the chat or speak up. Both are fine. Why should we give more feedback to top performers? They are already performing well. Excellent, Ravi. Yeah, it allows a directional approach and career progression. That is the key part. Yes. Now, let us assume that I am a top performer. Nandini, it creates motivation and alignment. Absolutely. Let's say that I'm a top performer and I know I'm a top performer. I know I'm doing extremely well. I know I'm better than my colleagues. What is that I am looking forward to from my leader? I want my leader to first come and telling me, hey, you are a top performer. You are doing a great job. The second thing I want to hear is that, oh, because you're doing a great job, now these are the next steps. Because a low performer who's struggling with their current job, they are not going to think about promotion. They are thinking only how to do this job better. They are worried about survival. But a top performer is looking at thriving, looking at growth. But most leaders, what they do, they focus all their attention on the low performers and completely ignore the top performers, saying that they're already doing a great job. And there is one key impact here, one key insight that I would like to share. The minute we say feedback, immediately it is thought of as only constructive or improvement feedback. Feedback is both positive and negative. Many leaders think that positive feedback is something we don't have to give. So that's something which we need to keep in mind. Next, employees tend to move away from bosses who give negative feedback more often. And I know of many leaders who believe only negative feedback need to be given. And the next point is that where feedback breaks down again, it is because of this. Manager's intent, I want them to improve. Employee experience, I'm being judged, attacked, and blamed. So, key insight, impact matters more than intent. All right. The next thing which I always use, say that it's a leadership mantra: be kind, not nice. Any thoughts? What is the difference between be kind, not nice? And I'm saying, as a rule, no, we leaders should be kind but not nice. So, what's the difference? Anyone? All right. Okay. So, when we say be kind and not nice, first let's look at what is being nice. When we are nice, we are focused on the relationship. We are only worried what we do, will it damage the relationship or not? We are worried about whether we are liked, whether we are popular. And when we are kind, what we do is we actually help the other person grow. Many leaders mistake being nice for being kind. They think they are being kind. But think, what does a team member need from us as a leader? The team member wants direction, alignment. They want us to tell them when they are doing right. They also want us to correct them and guide them when they are doing wrong, because they know that if they put in a low performance, it is going to impact them. They are not going to become top class professionals. They are not going to get that responsibilities, opportunities, and the growth. So they're looking to us to guide them because they don't know. But when leaders start be nice, avoid giving them feedback, say, hey, yeah, it's okay, everything is fine, all that, they're not growing, they're not improving, and they become mediocre employees. So we have been nice, but it's not helping them. In fact, it is an injustice that we are doing to them. Most leaders don't realize this. But when we are kind, what do? We help them grow. We tell them when they are going wrong. We share our experience and say, this is what got us here. Yeah. Purvi, you are absolutely right. It takes courage to be kind. Being nice is very easy. It is lazy also. Yeah. So one of the key things is that when we look at feedback, let us be kind, not nice. The other extreme many leaders do is that when they decide to give feedback, instead of being kind, they become very aggressive, judgmental. And one excuse I heard many of them say is that my leader used to give me feedback this way. This is how I learned. So others also should learn the same. Just because we had leaders who never gave us feedback properly, does not mean we should do the same to others. We should be able to give it in a kind manner. So that is what we need to do. So let's move on and let's understand what is feedback. All right. And I looked a lot, hunted over, got thousands of definitions, but I like this one the most. Anybody guess as to why I liked this one the most? What are the key words that you are seeing? Past, present, future. Absolutely, Ravi. Yeah. Other thoughts? All right. The key is it is information. But what many times feedback is, it is judgment, opinion, bias. I call it the masala because you are not motivated, you are careless, you don't want to improve. Everything is about the personality, you. It's never about the performance or behavior. So, information about the past performance or behavior given in the present for what? Only one objective to influence and change future performance and behavior. If they're doing good work, we want to influence them to continue doing it. If they're not meeting the standards, we want to help them change that. That's what feedback is. But unfortunately, it is packaged into something else entirely. All right. So now I'll just share a video on why feedback is so tricky. It's a lady who's talking about it. I'll just play it. Just a quick check. Are you able to hear the audio and see the video clearly?
Audio is not heard.
Audio is not heard? Okay, just give me a minute.
Maybe share as with audio could help.
Yes, I'll do that. Now is it fine?
Yes, Prakash, it's all.
It's fine. All right. Okay.
I think that part of the problem is that we vacillate back and forth between thinking, well, either the performance management system is broken, so we get a new one, and everyone hates the new one as much as they hate the old one, or then we decide, okay, then the people are broken. So then we try to train managers how to give feedback more effectively. And I think that both of those things are true, but the bottom line is there is no perfect performance management system, and there are no perfect feedback receivers. Part of the challenge is that feedback sits really at the crux of two core human needs. One is the need to learn and grow, which, if you look at the happiness research, is a core piece of satisfaction in life. It's why we take up new hobbies in retirement, or like getting a higher score on the video game. But sitting right alongside that is a second human need, which is the need to be accepted and respected and even loved the way we are now. And the very fact of feedback can suggest that how you are now is not quite A-okay. And that's incredibly painful. And I think that we should just accept that all of us have reactions to who is giving us the feedback. And sometimes the who overshadows the what. So the same piece of feedback that we would take from someone else, coming from this person, is particularly galling. So I think that recognizing that in ourselves is the first step, and that actually enables us to try to separate the who from the what, and to say, okay, I don't trust this person, I don't like this person, I don't want to be like that person, I don't know that they know what they're talking about. At the same time, let me just look at the advice or the feedback itself to see, is there anything that's right about it? So I can ask that question, and it's sometimes true that someone you can't stand actually has useful advice for you, And one of the interesting things about feedback is it's the people you find most difficult to work with who often have the most to teach you about how you can improve.
Okay. So, two key takeaways from the video. One is that we have two strong human needs, and feedback stands at a juncture. One is on one side, I want to grow and develop. I need feedback for that. The other opposing human need is I want to be accepted as I am. I don't want to be judged. But feedback is in a way of judgment because we are telling somebody you are not good enough. So that is why feedback is so tricky. So, as leaders, all of you, when you give feedback, please remember this is what you are getting into. You are going to face an emotional reaction, you are going to face resistance unless there are certain things that you are able to do well. Okay. So, the barriers to feedback, the first one is lack of trust. Think about it. Would you take feedback from somebody you don't trust? What are you going to say? Oh, this person, he doesn't like me. I don't want to take feedback. I don't think his feedback is objective. So, with your team members, if there is lack of trust in the relationship, if the relationship is not good enough, then you have a problem. If your team members feel that you are not doing it for their growth, you are doing it for yourself, for you to meet your KRAs, KPIs, then there is a problem. Why? Because many team members have told me this in a few employee surveys which I myself conducted. They said, my manager wants to get their things done. They want to shine. They're not worried about us. So I don't trust them. So that is something which we have to look at. The second barrier is why does a person behave in a particular way? They behave in a certain way because there is a belief. That belief is formed maybe early childhood, during teen age years, or during the first few job experiences. They have formed certain beliefs about how to work, what is work all about, how to behave with a leader, what to believe, whom to trust. All these beliefs are already formed. And we as leaders, when we go and try to give this feedback, it's not going to help because we are not changing beliefs. So we have to understand why is that the team member keeps on repeating the same behavior despite us telling him? Because some belief is not changing. We have to change those beliefs. All right. The next is
Sorry to interrupt.
yes.
The screen, some black image is getting blocked. If you want to try to reshare, that could help. I see some black patch which has come up.
Okay. All right. I'll just do that. Thank you, Surup. Is it okay now?
There's one layer of black patch which is coming on top. It was not the case before. Not sure.
That is actually the control bar. For me, I'm seeing all the control bars.
Okay.
Okay, let me see if I can hide that. Okay, is it better now?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, so then there is a lack of an effective process. What is a process? Let's say that we want to make a dish at home. We want to cook a dish. Can we just start by saying, okay, I'll put this on the fire, let this get cooked in the meantime? No, we can't. We need a recipe. We need to know what we want to cook. We need to know what are all ingredients. We need to keep those ingredients ready. And then there is a certain process. Feedback also requires a process. We need to know why we are giving feedback. What is this feedback intended to achieve? What is the data and evidence? What should I do first? What should I do second? What should I do third? It's only then that process becomes effective. The next is lack of understanding of role of emotions. Because team members feel that they are being blamed, they are being attacked, they are being judged, they are going to react. When they react, we also react. It becomes a full-blown conflict. So we need to be able to temper our language and present the feedback in such a way that the team member sees it as not as an attack or blame. He sees it as purely feedback given to help him or her grow. That's one more thing which we have to remember. So why does feedback often trigger strong reactions? Feedback can see a threatened status, certainty, fairness, and belonging. When I am told that I am not good enough, suddenly I feel isolated. I feel that I am not on the same status as other team members. Now my future or my job is uncertain. All these worries me. And then I tend to react in very negative ways. So we have to remember these are the barriers. So what do we do? How do we overcome those barriers? We just keep these key elements in mind. All right. The first is, please remember, for your team to succeed and the organization to succeed, feedback is a critical activity. It has to be done. It cannot be an option or a choice. It has to be done. The second is, when we go and do it at the end of the year, like it happened with me, and come as a now we have to work hard in the next year to be able to get a good rating, get those opportunities, responsibilities, and all that. So it's an ongoing process. Then it has to be timely and immediate. Something happened today, within next 24 hours or 48 hours, that should be feedback should be given. Not after 1 month, 2 months, because the person is saying, all this time it was not a problem. Why it is a problem suddenly today? So it has to be timely and immediate. Next is, and this is so many team members told me, Prakash, when I stretch, I work extra, I go out of my job scope, I solve problems, I take proactive decisions. My manager never has anything to say to me. I don't even see him or her. But the minute I make a mistake, it is like magic. They appear in front of me and they say, you didn't do this, you did this wrong, and all that. So why should I do positive things? I'll only do work which does not get me into trouble. So we need to be positive and constructive both, because our job is to help them grow. And of course, we need to be objective and consistent. Same act, every team member should get that feedback. But sometimes when it's a top performer, I say, oh, it's a top performer. Let me not give him feedback or give her feedback. If other people are watching and said, oh, when it comes to this person, Prakash is partial. Second is, same situation, every time it is repeated, the same feedback. Not once, oh, it was a high pressure, high volume situation, so we will ignore it. But the next time when things are fine, we will give that feedback. No, it has to be consistent. Otherwise, people will start making their own rules. Okay. So the process for giving feedback, please prepare why the feedback, what the feedback. Second is plan for when it is going to happen, keep them informed, then get into the discussion and then into the follow-up. And lastly, the most important part, how do you avoid judgment, bias, negativity, emotional intensity when giving feedback? Please use this particular model: situation, behavior, impact, and next steps. What is situation? Not you are late. You are always late. You never complete this report on time. That's not the situation. The situation is there was a late login on 3 times this month. Behavior, you're not adhering to this particular time policy, the company's time policy. The impact is because you're coming in late, we are not able to deliver something on time. It impacts you, impacts the team, impacts the organization. Very importantly, talk about the impact on them. And lastly, we talk about the next steps. What is going to happen? Also, positive things. You work 2 hours extra on your own to sort out the situation. You showed exemplary commitment and dedication. Because of this, the client is very happy. Our team's credibility is very high. Next steps, next time when such a thing happens, please continue to do it and please also keep me informed so that I can pitch in if required. So this is how you use this particular model. All right. So on that note, I'm looking at concluding this session. Yes, SBI model. That is what exactly this model is. It's a very powerful model. And today we have access to so much of material. So please read about that and you can get into that. Okay. So with on that note, let's conclude this session. Can you now share your questions, clarifications, or any challenges you're currently facing? If you could share that, please. We will discuss that. Yes, any, you could share your thoughts on the session also, but any questions about any of the what we had discussed? Thank you, Ravi. Happy that you found it good. Yes, if you could also share quick feedback on how you found the session, that also will be good. Patil, I think, is going to
Yes,
be
yes.
taking the feedback. Yes, please go
I
ahead.
just launched the feedback form. Yeah, I've just launched. So if you can just share your feedback, that would be great. Thank you for sharing your feedback, few of you. I see. So relevance of the webinar, most everybody is saying it's very relevant, very effective. Also, any key takeaways or suggestions you might have, that would also help. So we'll give one more minute. So we are 1 minute 30 seconds into the poll. So one more minute. If you can just share your feedback, then I'll be ending the poll.
Yes, please do share your feedback because your feedback is very important to us. It helps us know what we are doing well, how we can make these sessions even more impactful. So please do share your feedback. Future sessions will be able to make them much better.
So meanwhile, they share their feedback. So I would like to thank everyone for joining us today and for engaging in the questions and participating in the polls. A special thanks to Mr. Prakash for sharing such practical real-world insights, drawn from his rich experience across industries. At Skillemme, our focus is on helping leaders translate learning into everyday action. And today's session was a great example of that, simple, relevant, and immediately applicable. So we hope you are walking away with few ideas you can start using right away. So do stay connected with us for more such learning sessions and feel free to reach out if you would like to explore deeper leadership interventions for your teams. So thank you once again and have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, V. Patil. Great session. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
you.
Start.
Thank you. Mr. Prakash, I'll be ending the session now.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
once again.
All right. Thank you.